I am going to have a conversation with Kelly Marshall today, who is the founder of Terra Care Financial. She is a bookkeeper extraordinaire, knows everything there is to know about QuickBooks, and I'm going to invite her on, so just one moment. Good morning, Kelly Marshall.
Good morning.
I'm great. So do you mind starting with a brief, who are you and what is it that you do?
Sure. So I am Kelly Marshall, as you said, and I own Terra Care Financial. We provide bookkeeping and financial coaching services for conscious entrepreneurs. This was a path I had run from at the beginning, been part of my career. I went to school for accounting, always wanted to be an accountant, worked in corporate, worked at a bank for years, worked for an investment management company, but was always trying to find this other path of creativity and um, energy work and things like that. And I had an opportunity to work at a wellness company, and I did their books, but I was also coaching. And that was kind of the birth of like, oh, maybe these things can go together, and I can take the skill that I've built, but offer it with people that I like to have conversations with, and then be able to bring in the energy piece and some of those things. So that was really the birth of this business. And I finally embraced that nerdy accountant side, but bring it to people that I love, who are doing important purpose-driven work in the world.
I think that's why the two of us hit it off so well, is because we know that money isn't just money, and then that's the end.
Yeah.
There's so much more to money. So when we think about the entrepreneurs out there, what financial professionals do you think they need to be in touch with? Who needs to be part of their roster? What would you recommend?
Well, I think it depends on where they're at in business. What stage of their business they're at. But to get the education, it's never really too early to get the education. So for sure, as a business owner, a bookkeeper is one of the earlier hires, because there comes a time where it doesn't make sense for you as a business owner to be spending your time on that. You're going to spend more time than you're going to end up paying for that service. So it's just not a cost benefit to you at some point. Or your business is starting to get more sophisticated, and this is not an area of expertise for most business owners. So there comes a time where they should have an expert handling this part for them. So I certainly think a bookkeeper. I think, financial coaching. So you and I handle two different parts of financial coaching. So of course it's self-serving for me to say that part's important for both of us, but I think both are important. The business coaching side that I really stick to is around handling cash flow in their business. Oftentimes it comes into energy and money mindset, because every stage you go in your business, you're hitting these different ceilings. And so I can help people break through those. And there's some strategy pieces that come into that. And that's all important on the business side. I don't personally touch the financial side, but if somebody's struggling on the financial side, I said financial side, I meant personal side. If somebody's struggling on the personal side, that can bleed from their business. So if you're struggling, you feel sometimes it is like spending, and they're spending a lot, but sometimes it's also like frozen. They don't know what to do with their money or where to put it, or they just feel disorganized, and that's making them feel like, well, I can't get any bigger. I can't handle this now. On either the business side or the personal side, well, how am I going to grow and get bigger? It's just going to be a big mess. So getting some support there. And then often if you are, building your personal wealth, it's time to get a investment professional on your team, somebody that can help guide that. Especially for those that we work with, conscious investing is really important. So they need to find somebody on their team that can understand that their value system is super important for them, and then can help guide them to maybe put their money to work for them in ways that are, matching their values. So those are the ones that come to mind. I mean, we could go on and on. Like there's a time where you need insurance help. There's a time where you need those, for sure, I forgot to even mention a tax person. Bookkeepers, some bookkeepers also specialize in tax. I'm not one of them. I also kind of like the idea of having two sets of eyes on your money and guiding you in that way. So a tax professional Um, as soon as you're kind of, there's no magic number, but at any point in your business, having a tax professional helps. But as soon as you're crossing into like you're very profitable, you're making 60, 70, 100K in profit, there's so many advantages you can have by talking to a tax professional, and you can save money on your taxes. So that's another member of the financial team. So I know it sounds like a lot. You don't have to do it all at once, and you just kind of add as you kind of, meet somebody that you feel like you can trust and that you're comfortable with. Then you meet with them and see if they'd be a good member of your team to support you. But you certainly don't have to figure it out all on your own either. There's lots of resources out there.
And one of the one of the things that I really encourage is when you're looking for those people that you're going to bring in or to work with, it's not just a pick someone and then you're like, oh no, I'm stuck working with
Yeah.
that person. Like, how do you recommend to folks to find out who's going to be a
Yeah.
good match for me?
Yeah. But you titled this Tales of a Bookkeeper, and I'm like, oh, I could really go I could really go on and on about that. Um, so I won't get too nerdy about that, but I will say, like, one of the one of the things I hear is a lot of times they start with their dad's CPA, or their spouse's accountant, or they're somebody's buddy that that doesn't really understand them, isn't taking the time to get to know them or their business. And that's really that's not where I want people to start. Certainly something I think they should make a change. I would say how to start with that. I would talk. I mean, a lot of people will go with referrals. They'll start talking to their friends, see who your friends are working with. It's you do. Sometimes people will find me online and we'll connect, and it becomes a really good connection. But most people that are coming my way are coming through a referral, because they want to know that who I've worked with, that they've, maybe I've worked with somebody for 3 years and they can really speak to our experience together. A lot of times your friends, there's some commonality there. If you're other purpose driven entrepreneurs, or somebody that's in e-commerce or something like that, they can find somebody that is specialized in that type of business. And so talking to other people around you, getting referrals. But if you don't have that, if you're kind of alone in the world and kind of you're the first of your group to kind of navigate this, check out somebody's content, see if they resonate, and then meet with them. There's some sources out there, and I think I've posted some things too, of like what to ask a bookkeeper that you want to work with. Melissa, that might be some content if you haven't done that. Like, what should they consider with a money coach? But you for sure want to make sure that that person listens to you, that they hear your concerns and the things that you're talking about, that they show that they ask the right questions. That they clearly demonstrate that they understand your business. We work with a lot of online business owners, and if you're going with a kind of a traditional tax preparer that's been doing this for 40 years, they're not going to always. Some of them are great and stay up on continuing education, but some of them might not understand the write-offs that are available to you. They're still afraid to do a home office when everybody at this point has a home office, things like that. So just make sure that they're um, asking those good questions and also being proactive with you. You shouldn't have to always be the one that brings everything to your financial professional. They should be asking you these questions and checking in on your business, and understanding where you're at and what's changed. That's really important.
Do you do an introductory vibe check,
Oh yeah.
discovery call, whatever folks are
That-
calling it these
yeah.
days? So that that is that the very first. If somebody isn't already familiar with you, is that the very first step
Yes.
that you take them through?
Even if they are familiar with me, it could be my best friend. I'm still going to do that call with them, because you want to make sure it's a good fit. So I call mine a strategy session, and I have an intake form so I understand a little bit about their business and their goals, and then we chat for a half hour and make sure it's a good fit. And a half hour, that's just the starting point. If they need more time, to me, it's not a permanent relationship, like you said. If it's not a good fit, somebody can change, but it can be a lot of work to get that set up. I want to make sure they're a good fit for me, and vice versa, because I want to support somebody for a long time. To me, 3 to 5 years at a minimum, longer if if it continues to work.
Yeah.
So I think that's an important piece. And if they're unwilling to do that, that wouldn't make sense to me. I would think any bookkeeper or financial professional you're going to work with, you'd need to have that, that face to face with them and make sure they're a good fit.
Yeah, I second that. So to make sure that that's clear for everybody, is Kelly and I are both saying to really decide if you want to establish a relationship with somebody who's going to be working with you, understanding your business and understanding your money, you're going to want to have that communication with them on the front end.
Yeah.
15, 20, 30 minutes, an hour, whatever that looks like, but get to know each other.
Yeah.
And just to see, do we like hanging out? It doesn't have to be, somebody that is going to become your best friend, but you do want to know that you understand each other and things feel good, because that's really the start to a great relationship.
You want to know that you're going to be comfortable asking them questions. You want to know that you're never going to feel stupid for something you bring up, because then you're not going to ask your questions. You're not going to get your needs met. And what's the point? We're here to support you. We're here to be your expert, to be that for you. So if you're not going to feel comfortable with us, then we're not the one for you.
Right. 100%. Okay. I know you touched on this a tad already, but do you mind stating again, at what point do you think is the right time for somebody to start considering a bookkeeper? And maybe financially, and maybe their own skill set wise.
Yeah, it's super individual. So there's really not a line in the sand where I can say, absolutely, when you hit this income amount, you need to hire a bookkeeper. But so here's my couple thoughts on that. One is, you have to know yourself. If you're not going to keep up with it, you're not going to do it, you don't want to deal with it, it's a pain in the, to you, then do it earlier than other people would say to do it. Start right away and get some support on that. If you know your business is going to grow fast and you're really confident in that, you might start earlier than somebody else. But if you're like, hey, I don't mind keeping up with this, I want to learn a little bit about it, I want to understand, which I actually think is not a bad idea, then I think you're fine to keep track of that on your own until you're kind of crossing between that 5,000, 10,000 per month kind of level. At that point, if you can consistently generate somewhere in that range, 5,000, 10,000, 8,000 to 10,000, there's something in that zone where it's like you can do enough business where it's no longer worth your time to do the bookkeeping yourself. And at that point, for sure, it's time. If you don't love it, it's time to outsource it to somebody else, because you can make more money in your time than it would cost you to hire somebody to do that part for you. So I think that's kind of if we talk about a revenue place, that's kind of the zone where I'm like, you don't need to be doing that on your own unless you love it, you have the aptitude for it, you understand it. So that's kind of that magic time. And then sooner, if you're not keeping up with it, it's not getting done, because even if you catch up at the end of the year for tax time, if it's done throughout the year, you're going to remember more things. You're less likely to miss anything. You'll have that information throughout the year to make decisions in your business about. So it's much better. If you're not going to do it at all, consider hiring help sooner. Did that answer your question?
Yeah, it did perfectly. So rule of thumb is, if it's beyond a skill set that you're even interested in, then you can throw out the start at X number of dollars. You can start looking for somebody right away. Or you can get somebody to, at least you can bring them in, get the setup going. They can give you a little bit of information, so you don't have to try to DIY the whole process.
Right.
And then if you're going along and you hit that 8 to 10-ish range, then it's time to really start thinking about it. If you, especially if you don't like doing it.
Right. Yeah, for sure. I actually want to share too a couple of things on that note. Like, when you're in the beginning and you're kind of doing it on your own, you don't have to have a software. You don't have to go get QuickBooks. You don't have to go get Wave Apps is another one a lot of people start with. You don't have to. There are some ways that makes it easier, and there are some things that are more challenging. So if your business is fairly simplistic, then the tip I would give, first thing, is make sure you've separated your business and your personal. Get an account for your business expenses. Get a checking account, get a credit card. It doesn't have to be a business account or a business credit card. If you can do that, that's great. But if you can't, have a dedicated account to that you use for your business for checking and for your credit card. And then keep it in Excel, keep it in a Google Sheet. It really doesn't have to be some sophisticated thing where you can run a report at the click of a button. There's a time where for sure you're going to need that. But at that early stage of your business, or if you've got a very simplistic low transaction business, you can keep it in a spreadsheet of some kind. I've even had people where they keep really great notes and it's on paper. It really is okay in that beginning time. It's when you're growing or somebody else is helping you, or your level, your number of transaction grows, your number of accounts grow. That's where it really is going to support you more to have it into a software of some kind, so you know nothing's getting missed, and that you're able to run quick reports. Or as your business grows, you might need to go to a financial institution and get a loan or something like that. They're not going to want your yellow sheet of paper with everything written on it. They would want to see a report from a software. So as you grow, your needs for that grow, but don't feel like you have to have that starting out unless it serves you for some other reason.
I'm glad you said that, because I think that gives people that permission. I hear that a lot from folks, like, but I should be doing this and I should have that system and I should, but a system can mean so many different things.
Yeah.
A system doesn't have to be a software
Right.
that's an app specific for finance. A system
Yeah.
could be any of the.
There was one girl I met early on. She was hysterical. I still remember our phone call like it was yesterday. And she was a personal trainer in Pennsylvania. And she was embarrassed because she had, her grandfather or somebody had given her this green ledger book, which is like old accounting paper that I learned in high school. And she was writing everything out. But it was perfect. Like, she was doing a great job, but she was embarrassed because it felt like that's not how you should do it. So she would, and it was great. And I just encouraged her to continue on with that. She didn't need anything more than that. There was going to be no lift for her to change it when it was working, So if you have a system that works for you and all the information is there and you're able to use that information, like I said, for decisions or for your tax compliance, you're fine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that. So cute. That was her grandpa's. Like, that's,
yeah. Yeah.
Even,
and she was so, like, she was in shame about it. And it was like, this is amazing.
I congratulate you. Okay, Kelly Marshall, I could talk to you all day long, but we need to wrap it up for folks. Where can people find you if they want to have that strategy session with you, want to learn more about what it is that you offer?
Probably the easiest, they can find me here, but on Instagram, but probably the easiest place to get the link for the strategy sessions on my website, which is terracarefinancial.com. So it's TERRACARE financial.com. And they can book that call.
Perfect. So if you if you are looking for somebody to take a peek at your books, Kelly Marshall is a dear friend of mine. You'd be in wonderful hands.
Thank you.
Good to see you.
Nice to see you.